Introduction to updating arrays in React State. Hello everyone, we're going to talk about React State Management with a focus on arrays. Uh, we are first gonna talk about why immutability is important in React. Uh, there is a lecture on immutability itself, but just to give a brief overview, immutability in the context of programming refers to the state that cannot be changed once it's created. So React relies on immutability to optimize re-rendering processes. So when state is treated as immutable, React can quickly determine if changes have occurred, leading to more efficient updates. So this approach not only improves performance, but also helps us keep our application predictable and bug-free. You can see that this is an example of uh, mutating array directly, and this is an immutable approach where we are creating a new array with yellow added. Common operations on arrays. So let's talk about how we usually manipulate arrays and how we should approach this in React. In traditional JavaScript, methods like push, pop, and direct assignments are commonly used to modify arrays. However, these methods mutate the original array, which is not ideal in React. Instead, we should use non-mutating methods. So for example, to add items, we can use concat or the spread syntax. To remove items, you can use filter and slice because they return a new array. And to modify items, map is really useful because it applies a function to each item and returns a new array. So using these methods ensures that we do not mutate the original state directly. Adding items to an array. So when adding items to an array in React, the spread syntax is really useful. For example, to add an item at the end of an array, you can use the spread syntax ... and name the array and add new item. So this syntax creates a new array by unpacking all elements of the original array and adding the new item at the end. Let's take a look at this code example where we use this technique in a React component state. So we have this app component and we have this state called items, and we have state updater function called set items. And our initial state for items is an array that contains apple and banana. And we have this button that allows us to add orange. So after this button gets clicked, it's gonna call this add item, and then it will call state updater function to set item and use this spread syntax to add orange at the end. This method is not only straightforward, but also maintains immutability, so React can efficiently track changes and update the UI. Removing items from an array. To remove items from an array without mutating it, you can utilize the filter method. Filter creates a new array containing only elements that pass a specified condition. In a React component, you might use this to remove an item based on a condition like an ID match. So, for example, we have this item list component, and we have item state with initial value of array with apple, banana, and orange. And we have this button to remove. And whenever we click this button, it's gonna invoke this remove item. Then this will trigger a filter operation that excludes the item from the new array. So this method is effective and aligns with React's principle by avoiding direct mutation of the state. Now, let's look at modifying items in an array. So modifying items in an array can be challenging without mutating the original array. So the map function is essential in this case. So map function lets us transform each item and return a new array. So for example, let's say you have like a list of items and you want to, like to-do items, and you want to mark one as complete. You can use map to produce a new array where the specified to-do items completed property is toggled. And this approach makes sure that we're not directly mutating the state, but instead creating a new version of the array that React used to update the UI. Here's another example. We have update items component, and we have this numbers state, which has a state of an array that has value 1, 2, 3. And upon clicking this button, it's going to invoke double value. And double value, what it's gonna do is it's gonna call set numbers state updater function, and it's going to call map on numbers, and it will just multiply by 2 of the number it's seeing. Advanced operations. So sometimes you might need to insert items into an array at specific positions. This can be achieved using a combination of slice and the spread syntax. So for example, in order to insert an item in the middle of an array, as you can see, we have this insert item component, and we are trying to click this button and insert grape at index 2. What we can do is we can slice the array up to a point where we want to insert this grape, and then spread those items, add the new item, and then spread the remaining items. This method allows us to insert anywhere in the array without directly mutating the original array, maintaining the immutability required for optimal React performance. Handling complex state updates. So in complex state structures, especially involving nested arrays, similar to objects, shallow copying is not sufficient because it only copies the outermost elements. In this case, deep copying is necessary when objects within an array need to be updated. So we achieve this by using methods that replicate every level of the array or object involved. This ensures that changes do not inadvertently affect other parts of the state, which could lead to bugs and unpredictable behavior in our application. So just to kind of explain more on this example, we have this complex state component, and we have this object state. It's an array of the initial state value is an array of an object. And when we click this change name to do, it's going to invoke this update name. And we can see that set object is going to be called. And we're going to map through this object. And upon finding an ID that matches, we will use a spread operator to first populate this object and then replace the name with a new name, which is do. Using Emer for simplicity, there is another lecture on Emer. So if you're not familiar with Emer, please watch that lecture. But to give you a brief overview, Emer is a library designed to simplify the management of immutable state in React. Emer allows us to write code as if we were mutating the state, but if you look under the hood, Emer handles these changes immutability. For example, you can, if you look at this code, we have this list editor component, and we're using Emer instead of use state. We can use methods like push or directly modify properties in a draft state, and Emer will produce a new immutable state based on these changes. This simplifies our code, especially if you have to deal with complex state structures while still adhering to React's best practices. Best practices and recap. So you want to remember that treating arrays as immutable in React helps maintain performance and predictability, and always prefer methods that return a new array over those that mutate the original array. It is, if you have control over what package to import, definitely utilize Emer when you're dealing with complex, deeply nested state that involves with array. And these practices will help you build a maintainable React application. Thank you for listening.